Hey folks, how's it going? With the guild war and the rest of the beast behind us, we can finally catch a breath. And I wanted to use that time to sit down and check on my progression, so I can plan my future grind a bit better. The roulette, the Magnafest, the completion of the Holosky weapons, the addiction of a 5th available Ultima weapon, as well as the addiction of the Dark Opus theory, left me with my head spinning, and I need to get back on track. First thing first, we just got the Seraph 4-star rank cap, and that one requires one log and kill Nenemas, so I spend most of my time this Rise of the Beast farming for golden seals to spend on the high level raids. I managed to get as many as 12, so I'll be able to uncap 2 or hopefully even 3 weapons. Priority wise, we're heading towards the Water Guild War and a fire one after that, so I want to make sure to work on my Earth and Water weapons first. For the Dark Opus, I've got my Earth Heart to skill level 15 already, and now it's time for the Water Staff to reach that stage as well. Having to reach 20 million damage on one turn is going to be a good challenge for me outside of Wind. So far I can only get as high as 16 millions with Kengo, Samurai Almeida, Kane and Octo. The characters still need a bit of sliming, but I'm hopeful I can squeeze the other 4 millions out of them in time. The water and one turn kill setup worries me a bit less, since Kengo, Altair and Summer Grea are an incredible trio, and in order to unlock Octo, I decided to make his katana water, so the main character deals about 12 million damage on his own without even using any Europa hub. While we're on the subject, I want to reorganize my teams to make space for the new characters I've got from the roulette and my Spark, but they're starting to become a bit too many, so I think it's time to put that B-side to use. I don't really want to do a full makeover, so my A teams are still going to be dedicated to a balanced team for general content, an attack team for strike time and EX plus 1 turn kill, a team for tier 2 and 3 raids, and of course a Spartan team for when I'm playing with my crewmates and we need a phalanx. The other 2 slots are going to remain alternative slots for trying out new characters or classes, or for particular raids that previous teams can't deal with. In the backline instead, I want to keep an A and SR teams for pendant farming, archive room restrictions, or just plain fun, and I think I'll put one of each Ultima team in the remaining 4 slots. Usually one of my A-side team is an Ultima Sword team anyway, so Ultima Melee, Gun, Spear and maybe Staff can go here. But speaking of Ultimas, I've been having second thoughts about the elements I've made them in, and I've also been wanting an Ultima Katana for a while now, but I don't know what to give up for it. I think I want to dedicate a proper video to this though, looking at available characters, most played classes, and other good main ends in each element. Another topic I want to dedicate a good video to is going to be picking an Archive Room Evoker. I've been putting that choice off for the longest time, and I can no longer push it back. Still, I want to give a proper look to all the Evokers, see what other characters they synergize with, which ones would work best for me, and finally start spending over a year of saved up mats. Moving on with the news, Segame has dropped the Future of Granblue Fantasy from May onwards article, which opens with a new water Xeno weapon, a harp. Personally, I was hoping more for a gun, a melee weapon, or even a spear with a decent skill to use as a main hand, but it seems like Water's curse on horrible weapons has to continue. We're also about to get chapters 123 and 124, as well as 2 more side stories, Aster's and the Princess Connect collaboration. I didn't expect the Princess Connect collab to come back so soon, but we're getting a Dark Carol in with the deal and I can't wait. On the 19th, we're also going to get the Water Guild War, and after Primal Resonance, I think a lot of people will try to go a bit easier on Verona. This will be the first Guild War with no betting, so the betting cards are going to be changed into different rewards, most likely crystals. There are some changes to the titles and a new 10 badges reward for personal ranking. They're also expanding the A, B and C tiers yet again. After appearing in the Doctor's Unlock quest, it seems like it's Cheryl's turn to get a 5-star. May will also see the arrival of the new EX2 class. Upgrading on the Gunslinger, we're going to get Granblue. The Soldier class will also come with a whole new bullet crafting level and a little change to the bullets mechanic, so you won't lose your bullets anymore when unequipping them. Not having to recraft your bullets for every gun looks great at first, but it also means that crafting high-level bullets can become as costly as Cygames wants them to. Now, I'm not saying to get ready to spend silver centrums to craft bullets, I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. Of course, with the Soldier class, the Nebuchad is also going to get its 5-star upgrade, but there's no information on the possible skills, so we just got to wait and see. Gladiator and Chrysaor are also going to get their class champion weapons, and of course, it's a Zod. Now here comes the big news. We're finally getting a character rebalance patch in early June. They mentioned fixing Ogi effects and support abilities as well as skill changes, so let's see who's on the list. Rakam is on it yet again. Hopefully this is a good one. His kit doesn't look so bad for a selfish attacker, but I don't have him, so I can't pass judgment. I guess needing to constantly spam skills to keep its Spitfire stacks up gets annoying after a bit. The second character in here is Helles, who is probably going to take a page out of her Wind version. The last fire character is Societte, and she really needs a better Ogi and a bit of help in becoming an amazing dodge-based tank. If her closing dance could become a simple buff and her passive changed to give a big boost to hostility when her first dance is active, she would already be on a good road. Moving on to water, we start with Lancelot, who is already a decent character, even though his attack and defense down debuffs are a bit on the low side and his third skill only buffs himself. One thing to note is that this is the second character whose Ogi is a next X skill activates twice, and I think there's more to come. The Antha is up next, and looking at the state of water and his Ogis, I'm pretty sure she's going to be able to deal damage with it. Last on the water character list it's Folia, which is probably going to see a heavy reduction or outright removal of the 20% max HP lowered debuff. The earth list instead begins with Yugen. With skills, long cooldowns and a weak Ogi effect make him look like he needs a heavy rework. Lowering the cooldown of Intercept and its cost to 30% and turning his sudden attack into a charge bar gain boosted would help Kangos tremendously. Finally, it's also Alessena's time. With all the multi-hits and AoEs around, she's had a real hard time finding a spot in the front lines. Can't Catch Me isn't enough to let her keep her buffs up. She needs to be a bit more like a tiny little knight. Next on the list is Summer Vera, who needs to be scrapped and rebuilt from scratch. Maybe just keep the Dispel plus Charm. The win list opens with Nezawal Pele, which is a bit weird since he's already a pretty decent character, but I guess after Helles and Grimnir he's fallen a bit behind, and I'll welcome any buff he gets. Summer Korra is next, another character whose Ogi doesn't deal damage. She's always been a bit of a weird buffer, and I can't even begin to make up possible fixes for her, not when Neon, Monkey and Kokoro exist. I'm still kinda bummed out this isn't regular Korra, but I guess I just want an excuse to slaughter him somewhere again. Hopefully she won't have to wait too long for a 5-star version. The third win character is Siegfried, yet another character who has a double skill activation on Ogi. I guess Cygames wants to either make these skill activations stronger or get rid of them. Moving on to light, we've got Halloween Charlotta. Released in 2014, they've got to make her look good before Granblue vs comes out. Sophia looks like we'll have to wait a bit longer for a 5-star version, and being as old as she is, she also needs a heavy-handed makeover. Hopefully she can get her Ursar version Zogi and a 70% chance to revive, going up to 100% with her EMP. Should she also be able to swap herself out after resurrecting an ally, it will be all the better. The last light character to get buffed is Jeanne d'Arc. Maybe it's finally time for her to get her Soul specialty like her other versions, and hopefully her Ogi is also going to be put on par with the rest of her as well. Skill-wise, I don't mind her simple kit, but if that attack up buff were to become a unique modifier, I wouldn't complain. In Dark, we've got our cutest alchemist Cagliostro opening up the dances in her Halloween version. Just like Charlotta, we already have one version of her in this element, so I'm curious to see where they're going to take this limited one. After our 2000-year-old uncle, there's Forte, and she's the fourth character in this list whose Ogi allows her to activate a skill twice. The list ends with Dark Zeta and her 10% dark attack up on Ogi. I've got many of these characters and I've been running Ultima teams with them for fun. I can't wait to see what changes are made to them and how much stronger they can get. Going on with the rest of the news, they're planning to adjust the negative effects on the Arcarum summons Death, Temperance and the Star. Considering Light and Dark only have one, this is a pretty big deal. At the end of May, after the Guild War is over, the critical skill on primal weapons is going to change and become like the Magna one, additive instead of each weapon having a chance to proc on its own. The month of June won't have a character receiving his 5-star upgrade. Instead, we'll get a new uncap on 6 weapons and 4 summons. I wonder if this is linked to the changes on the critical skills on primal weapons. Finally, Proving Ground is coming back on the 4th of June, this time with water enemies, and it looks like the Proud and Proud Plus fights can be fought multiple times. That's the one gripe I had with the event last time, and I'm glad to see it fixed. Moving on, there's a small notice about a little UI change to display what turn it is more often, and finally a fix to summons as well. This time right before Guild War, and you will be able to keep your friend's summon in your summon list for longer than a single use. The article ends with a small change on the date in which the story events begin, now moving to 5 days before the month ends, and some merchandise. That's quite a bit of stuff coming our way, and thankfully most of it is going to run on earth and water elements. So, farming wise, I'm going to have to shut myself in Alexiel's raids this Magnafest, only coming out for a few more Wanlong and Kiln high level trains. On my to-do list I've also got a Nebusha to elementalize and to farm the mats for the Jondo upgrade, as well as farming more mats for my 2 missing Eternals, Quattro and Fifth. With the Eternal skin done, I think I'll move on to 5-star in Trio. Video-wise, picking Ultima weapons, choosing an Oracle, and tip building part 2 may be coming sooner or later. Until then, good grind. Ciao!